All right. Welcome back to All Cars, y'all. My name is John, and it is time for another reaction video. This week, I excitedly have chosen the 1988 Buick Reatta. I've got a lot to say about this, and, well, I'm kind of curious what they're going to say about it. Heck, I'm curious about what's going to come out of my mouth, too. So, without any further introductions, please make yourself comfortable. Sit back in that comfy chair, grab your beverage of choice. This is just some water today. And let's see what Motorweek said 36 years ago about the Buick.
Motorweek is made possible by Lucas Oil and TireRack.com.
We have a special treat for you this time, a test of one of the most anticipated new cars to come out of Detroit in a long time, this Buick Reatta. The Reatta is General Motors' third new two-seat model to emerge in 4 years. Now GM's car divisions have more designs for couples only than any other family sedan builder. But you may have noticed that we haven't called this Reatta a sports car. That's because in traditional sports car terms, it isn't. Being a Buick is enough to confirm that. So just what is the mission of the Reatta, and will it prove to be worth the wait?
Okay, so right off the bat, let's talk about the styling, and we may stop and talk about some more styling as we see more of the car. From most angles, I think this car is really gorgeous. You think about this coming out, and then the Cadillac Alante came out around the same time. I think it was 1 year later, maybe. And, you know, the Cadillac was very, very squared off with really big panel gaps. And I did a whole reaction video to the Alante. And I always liked it, but it never quite achieved greatness. And one of the things I didn't say in that Alante one was, I don't think I did anyway, was it was front wheel drive. You know, maybe it had the looks, maybe it had maybe everything else was great, but it was still competing against halo cars from brands that were using rear wheel drive. So it was never going to quite stand out. Here's another front wheel drive. This is actually a shortened version of the Riviera platform. Little different, not a sports car. I think that's why they said it. But truly, I do think this is a gorgeous car from almost every angle.
Even to Buick, the Reatta is neither fish nor fowl. Rather, they see it as a gourmet selection of the most desirable aspects of performance and comfort, blended together in a unique luxury sports coupe design. You certainly can say the exterior of the Reatta is unique. From its very long hood to its very short rear deck, this car throws curves in every direction. The Reatta has a sleek, smooth shape, yet it's different from the popular Coke bottle theme used by Ford, Audi, and others.
And, you know, this is one of the angles where I don't think it's quite as gorgeous. There's something in the proportions of the rear of this car that doesn't quite pull it together. It looks like they took two different cars and kind of met them in the middle. It might be this curved glass back here at the back. I think they were going for some symmetry back and forth, but without having a strong C-pillar carrying down, or even more of a notch back. There's something weird in the rear proportions, like the trunk is too long, but the rear where the seat to the glass, like, it's too short. I don't know. There's something off about this. It doesn't look like personal luxury. It doesn't look like a sports car. It looks like a posing car. Now, I still think it's really good looking. For 1988, this could easily have come out sometime in the 90s, in my opinion. I think it's that good looking. I even like the wheels on this and the color. Something in the styling, the proportions are wrong for me.
Styling is distinctive, if not as dramatic as we'd like, and the shape has to grow on you. Retracting headlamps keep the bullet front smooth as glass, while the below bumper grille work looks like an open invitation from a shark. It's the most aggressive feature of the Reatta's styling. Around back, there's no such shock factor. A thin ridge of tail lamps string from side to side. The gentle slope of the trunk lid, combined with the inward slope of the rear fascia, does a nice job of making the car look lower than it is. But the relationship between the roof side pillar, rear wheel opening, and short rear fender overhang is awkward. Only unwanted extra length could have cured this. One reason behind having the rear wheels so far back was, no doubt, to give the Reatta plenty of usable interior space for a two-seat car. While the trunk liftover is very high and lid opening small, the cavity is deep, wide, and long. Made longer by this pass-through door to the passenger compartment. It was designed especially for a golf bag. When closed, the parcel shelf has a useful shape with 3 built-in tie-down points. Under the floor are a pair of handy storage bins for cameras and the like. Seating in the Reatta is equally spacious with 6-way power seats standard. Everyone on our staff found a position they liked. The suede and leather upholstery holds you in place nicely, and there's good all-round support. Our car's optional 16-way driver's seat also had adjustable lumbar, side bolster, and under-the-thigh support. Like the Pontiac Fiero and Cadillac Alante, the Buick Reatta makes heavy use of standard GM parts. In this case, most of the components come from the Buick Riviera. That's particularly true of the dash. It was lifted with few changes. The driver faces a digital cluster with mostly warning lights. Attack with engine gauges can be called up on a center touch-sensitive screen. The screen also controls audio, ventilation, and trip computer functions, plus diagnostic chores. While operation of the screen does take your eyes off the road, the alternative would be a lot of buttons to operate all of the Reatta's standard luxury features.
Oh, okay. Whoa, hold on. Let's stop there for a second. Interior. I like the pass-through. It's a little too small because, like you saw, you couldn't put a whole bag through. But that parcel shelf behind it, dead flat. I love the place, the cubbies underneath to put things. Really, really, really useful because you can imagine you're going to your lake house in the mountains for a weekend. You can throw a couple of duffels in the back or something like that. Dashboard, very typical GM of the time. The quality of the plastics and the layout and just the chunkiness of it. For a Buick and for a very styled Buick like this, it lacks some panache, right? It lacks a little elegance that I think the outside of the car kind of promises. But I hate digital dashes. But I think in a previous reaction or somewhere we've talked about GM was way ahead of the curve in having this touch ability right here on a screen. And it's another example of technology that they kind of fumbled and let everybody else catch up or supersede them. But wasn't it interesting that he just said having these buttons prevents all the other buttons on the dashboard? But now we have these infotainment screens where everything's buried in menus and they are far clearer and far more responsive than this unit, and people want buttons and knobs again. Very interesting they said that this was a benefit in spite of how we can see how slow the touch screen is actually responding. But this is a really frustrating thing for me because it's cool tech. I don't trust it. How much is that going to cost to replace? All these other concerns I would have about it. I'd rather just have the buttons and the knobs. But wow, this is where GM was. And I've done a couple of videos where they've had these kind of screens or primitive GPS and things like that, and they were just bypassed. They didn't get it to the commercial to being standard in their cars. It's just kind of sad to me. It really is.
Indeed, the Reatta is such a well-equipped luxury coupe that only the 16-way driver's seat and a power sunroof are options. Even a horn-blowing, light-flashing security system is included. The interior is mostly Riviera, and so are the mechanics. The Reatta uses GM's new balance shaft version of its 3.8-liter V6. Call the 3800, it has 15 more horsepower at 165 and 10 more pound-feet of torque at 210. Fuel injection is sequential multi-port, and the computer-controlled ignition uses one coil for each pair of cylinders. The 3800 is connected to a smooth-shifting 4-speed front-drive automatic transaxle. No manual gear change will be offered.
I have no real problem with that powertrain. Again, another shot of the interior here we're looking at. GM, I've said it before, they like check the boxes, but there was a long time their interiors lacked any sort of real elegance or quality or attention to detail. Heck, 10 years later, they were using a gear shifter that looked just like this. Anyway, no problem with the 3800, and matched to a 4-speed. They actually got a 4-speed, not a 3-speed. Good to hear. No problems with the 3800. If I could only have one engine in cars, period, it would be the 3800 from GM. Really, really respect it. So not a bad powertrain, not sporty, not a sports car, but that engine will last longer than the interior will.
But the drivetrain is sophisticated and makes this Buick go very well too. The Reatta weighs almost the same as the Riviera, so it has similar acceleration times. 0 to 60 takes a brisk 9 seconds, and quarter-mile result is 17.1 seconds at 80. Both are well within sporty car figures, if not lightning fast. Handling, too, is commendable, but the Reatta is anything but tossable. It hunkers down into a turn, like most GM front drive designs, and tracks well. More steering feel would be desirable. The all-independent suspension uses a single transverse plastic leaf spring at the rear, along with the added roll control found on Riviera T-types. Even though the 15-inch 65 Series Eagle GT Plus 4 tires are a little skinny, the Reatta's handling is impressive for a luxury machine. Brakes, however, give up nothing to luxury. They're all disc, and anti-lock is standard. Standing on them produced quick, sure, straight stops of 106 feet from 55. They feel fine and work even better. On the highway...
Before they go on to the ride, overall pretty impressive. Again, the handling, what they said there about it kind of hunkers down, not a sports car, right? This is a front-wheel drive car. But 9-second, good acceleration, great braking, all disc, anti-lock brake, well equipped car, and performed great. That was a good result. I could nitpick some things. I could even go on about the slalom and how it looked, but not a sports car. And so, great result.
The Reatta's blend of sports and luxury also seems appropriate. This car is a smooth-riding, almost effortless cruiser. At legal limits on level road, your foot barely touches the accelerator to maintain constant speeds. The aero bodywork obviously works, but although the recorded sound level is only 67 decibels, you do notice considerable tire noise on smooth surfaces. Fuel economy ratings, again the same as the Riviera, are 19 city and 29 highway. Our test loop of 21 was a bit less than we expected. On our safety check, the Reatta has everything we prefer except front passive restraints. We do, however, commend Buick for making anti-lock brakes standard. GM used small but prestigious engineering firms in England to help design the tooling and manufacturing process for the Reatta. Its sheet metal dies come from Japan. This international engineering flavor paid off in very good body fit and paint finish on our pilot production test car. All told, the Buick Reatta hit us right with its roomy, versatile interior, long list of standard luxuries, commendable track performance, excellent highway manners, and high-quality fit and finish. It missed the mark with us in its two highly digitized dash controls, high trunk sill, and awkward roof-to-rear wheel styling. And the price for the Reatta? Well, it has just been announced. The Buick Reatta's fully equipped base price is $25,000. That makes it less than half the price of a Mercedes 560 SL or Cadillac Alante. And since only 5,000 Reattas will be made this year, the car is not only cheaper but more exclusive than a Chevrolet Corvette. And an even better looking Reatta convertible is due soon. We applaud GM for letting Buick have such a car as the Reatta all to itself. It shows that individual car division identity is here to stay at GM. While the resulting Reatta does not make our sports car hearts flutter, it's also not as flabby as Buick's traditional buyer profile. As for its name, well, the word Reatta is derived from the Spanish-American word for lariat or lasso. It seems a good choice, since we think this Buick will easily rope its share of fans.
So, what an interesting end there. I have mixed feelings about the car, and I do. I have a lot of mixed feelings about the car. On the one hand, it is a very memorable car from the 80s. I don't even remember how long they had it for. Not very long. Early 90s. Through, I would say, 3/4 of the way around this car, I think it's gorgeous. I absolutely do. I think from the front, I love the pop-up headlights. I love the rear of it. There's just that rear 3/4 view that's just a little, it's just awkward to me. Like they didn't know what to do with a front wheel drive styling for some reason, but the price, $25,000 seems high, but like they said, if you're comparing it with other luxury cars, it's half price. It's more exclusive than a Corvette. And if I remember correctly, when they started building this, I think they actually took like a portion of a plant, and then it was almost hand built because they were making so few of them. And this is part of where I have such mixed feelings about it. GM put this effort, they took in another platform, but they put this effort in to come out with this car. And who's it for? It's not cheap enough to be a boy racer. It's not rear wheel drive. It's not as upscale, as exclusive, as powerful as what you could get from BMW or Mercedes. It's not rear wheel drive, of course. But you're also selling it based on it being less expensive. And it's only an automatic. And what you end up with is almost like this is for the junior partner at a law firm, right? Or the doctor who just got out of his residency and has gotten his first job. He can't swing the Mercedes. He can't swing the Cadillac, but he wants something nicer. And so they're hoping, those kind of people are going to buy one of these because it would be great for weekend trips. It'd be great for going to the country club. It would be, honestly, I think it'd be great for just tootling around in. I love the car. But you end up with a bunch of different decisions that leave me kind of questioning who exactly was the market. And I think it's this middle level between, I don't want a 300Z. I don't want a Corvette. I don't want or can't afford the Mercedes. I want it to look great, but I'm not interested in it being sporty, even though it can accelerate pretty well. And so you end up with something that's a posing car. This is a car that looks good, and it's got a little gumption to it. It's got some techno wizardry inside, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think it sold well at all. I don't think it sold well at all, but I really don't know the sales numbers on it. But I do think it's gorgeous. I do think it's memorable. And wow, knock on wood, other than the North Star they put in the Elante, I think this is a better car than the Elante. I absolutely do. As much as I like the Elante, this was a bigger swing for the fences for GM. I think it showed a lot of the mix of their decision making and how they came up with this weird compromise. But gosh, that car could have been an absolute home run. Let me know what you think below, guys. Thanks for being here.